I'm Sue Pickerill. I'm the Corporate Responsibility Analyst at ISS. We're here to talk about sustainability, particularly within the supply chain. And I'm here with Greg Robinson, who's our Procurement Director. Do you want to say a little bit about your role, Greg?
Yep, I'm the UK Procurement Director at ISS UK. My role has a helicopter view over the whole of the organisation and obviously encompasses a very large supply chain. So obviously talking about the environmental and sustainable side is really important.
Excellent. And in terms of working with CR, how do you find that?
I think CR historically, as perhaps procurement, we've not taken the initiative to look into it, but I think in the last 6-9 months working with yourself and the team, it's now really important that procurement obviously encompasses all of the aspects of CR, environmental and the sustainable side.
So what's changed? Why is that different in the last?
I think historically we've always looked on service and on price, but what we've seen a lot more of recently is our customers are a lot more on the ball, looking at for sustainability in all the bids and the tenders that are coming in. Half of the bids all to do with the environmental aspects and all the questions that we're now getting. So it means that we really have to understand our supply chain a lot better.
And how we've started doing this EcoDesk project recently, where we've been inviting our suppliers to tell us more about their environmental data. How do you think that's gone down with the suppliers?
I think it's really interesting because I think with ISS we've historically been quite disparate and trying to bring all our information together into one house. What I see with EcoDesk is obviously we're rolling this out now across the whole organisation through our supply chain, and it's one medium that we can use, and from what I've seen so far with the reporting and everything that's coming out, I can see with the journey that we're on, it's only going to develop and get better as we go further.
So from a procurement perspective, what sort of benefits do you think we'll get from having greater insight to what our suppliers are doing?
ISS, I think our supply chain at the moment, we've really got to get smarter with the way we work with our suppliers. And obviously we have some very key strategic suppliers, but I think also tapping in and understanding their environmental side and their CR side, because all the initiatives that can bring. You know, it's not all about price. You know, price is important, service is important, but also the CR, the environmental side, is becoming equally as important. So it's really making sure that we are working together in collaboration, to, you know, for the benefit of us, for the suppliers, and indeed our customers.
Yeah, that seems to tie in because a lot of my role is working with our potential customers and customers on tenders and the responses, and we've certainly seen an increase in the questions about supply chain and about what we know about our supply chain, and in some cases what we know that our supply chain know about their supply chain. So it seems to be something that's really important.
Exactly, and I think the interesting thing for me, we're even looking at the EcoDesk, is a number of our suppliers are already using that medium. Yeah. So obviously they see it as important themselves to look at that environmental, whether it be the carbon footprinting, the sustainability of information, and we're just obviously driving that further. And I think as we progress with that relationship and understanding, I think we will really drive out further benefits with our suppliers, and obviously then looking to work only with those suppliers going forward. And from a procurement point of view, it will also give us a good insight as to how we can use that information, dare I say, from a negotiation point of view going forwards, as to whether we choose to use them or possibly not.
So do you think that is something that might change strategically in terms of our choice of suppliers?
Definitely, and I think even working with your team, as we're now doing a lot more now on the CR side, it's been really important to sort of understand where those initiatives are coming from, and obviously driving forward to the benefit of the organisation.
So what do we think might happen? You know, we've had some mixed responses. Some suppliers have been really keen. I've been really encouraged by the suppliers, maybe the SMEs, who've started their sustainability journey for the first time as a result of a bit of an invitation from us. But we have had some suppliers who haven't been so keen to get involved.
Yes, I mean, it's not a big surprise. At the end of the day, I think our main core suppliers are all, you know, welcome the opportunity, because I think they can actually see the benefits of working with that system, and obviously the information it gives themselves as well. I think obviously you're right, there are some suppliers that need perhaps a little bit of assistance from us and understanding, But I think also they're in a place where they perhaps also need to understand where the benefits will give them as an organisation as well. And I think when either EcoDesk or ourselves have explained that, they then see that as a further opportunity themselves. And there's always going to be a few suppliers that obviously choose not to. And I think then as an organisation we want to be working with in the future.
So in terms of kind of where we go next, what sort of things do you see developing from a procurement point of view, working with CR and moving forwards from here?
Obviously what I'd like to see is procurement working more with the CR team, looking at the environmental sides, working in collaboration, get the suppliers in for a workshop, right, so we can actually make sure that they understand what our strategy is, where we're going. Obviously they can hopefully align their strategy with ours, and obviously then have some initiatives and objectives to obviously reach some common goals.
Great. And in terms of broadening out the CR scope as well, perhaps there's something we can think about. So we're looking at environmental stuff, but we're also bringing in other factors to a supplier's scorecard.
Definitely. And I think also the one thing I didn't mention then was our customers are definitely demanding a lot more from the sustainable side, the environmental aspects. So whilst obviously working with ISS and our suppliers, we mustn't forget that I think we also need to look at what initiatives and objectives our customers are demanding of us, so we can make sure that we can mirror them together as well.
So you say that sustainability issues are becoming more important. Why do you think that is? Do you think it is a box-ticking exercise? Do you think it is people that are genuinely concerned about climate change? Why do you think it's becoming more important?
That's a great question, and one I'm not sure I've actually got the total answer, but I think from what I've seen and what our organisation I think has definitely seen is that our customers are dictating the information more and more. We're obviously having to hit their objectives, and whether it be in their bids and tenders, to obviously get to that next stage so we can put we're obviously having to put that information forward to them so we can actually get onto their tender process. Yeah. What's actually driving our customers at the end of the day, I'm actually not quite sure. Everybody's becoming a lot more aware of the environmental issues, the climate issues, and I think our customers obviously want to be seen to be obviously in the right. Our customers obviously want to be seen to be doing the right thing environmentally for their own sakes. And at the end of the day, I think ISS is also, it's very important that we are seen to be environmental and hitting those right boxes to try and get ahead of our competition.
And I suppose as well for our clients that are listed companies, we've got the compulsory reporting coming in next year. Yes. Maybe that's a pressure.
Yes, I mean obviously, your CR reports that you're publishing, and obviously you're putting objectives and what ISS is going to achieve. I think that also goes hand in hand with some of our customers' requirements as well. In terms of
the initiatives that we're doing at ISS, do you think that suppliers think it's just a bit of a ploy to get a better price out of them at the end of the day, or are they genuinely?
There's always going to be that perception with some of the supply chain that ultimately we will use this information against them. But I think from the suppliers that we've got on the system at the moment, I think the majority of them have recognised, either if they weren't on the system already, they can see the opportunities that it will bring them going forwards. There's definitely a very, very small percentage of people that haven't played ball. Some of those we've managed to obviously bring onto the system because we've explained what the opportunities will give them going forward. And then obviously there's going to be I think there's a few that we obviously need to address. And as I mentioned, I think earlier, if they don't perhaps embark on the information, and then perhaps ISS will need to look at those in a different light.
Do you think that the transparency issue is something that puts people off? Some of the suppliers have said to me that they're nervous of publishing their information, as those who obviously aren't reporting already. Yeah. What's your thought on that one?
I think that works both ways. I think obviously it's always good to have a bit of a league table, so sometimes those suppliers can see what perhaps their other similar suppliers are doing. In that case it also prompts them to make sure they've got the right information on there. But ultimately, I think all the suppliers that I've spoken to about it can see it as a big benefit, and obviously not seeing the negative side of it.
In order to give us the figures that we need to potentially publish a Scope 3 emissions number, at the moment we report mainly on our scope 1 and 2, but it would be great to have the information available to develop that and look at scope 3 as well. Having our supply chain involved in that is obviously a really critical part of that journey, and them being willing to share that information with us is part of building those relationships and moving that forward together. Do you think that there are other benefits that we'll get from having that information?
Ultimately, I think ISS, at the moment we've got the majority of our top suppliers going onto the system. I think we need to have then a program going forward to make sure that any new suppliers coming into ISS as part of our supplier pre-qualification process, that the eco-desk process is there from day one to make sure that they're not being left out of the program. And we actually look then to make sure we get as much as our supply chain onto the system as possible.
And we're obviously working, so CR, Procurement, working closely together on this programme. How much work do you think there is to spread that understanding of why we're doing this and the importance of why we're doing it across the rest of the organisation and at board level? Do you think we've got that level of understanding at the moment, or is there more to do?
I think there's always more to do. With a company like ISS having over 40,000 employees, it's the company changes day by day. I think what the key thing is that what you, myself, hopefully have already managed to do is obviously highlight the importance of this. Yeah. And I think then what we need to do is continue to drive that, to bring in the other appropriate departments as we go down this journey. Because whilst we've brought in all the other procurement colleagues and your CR colleagues, and we've obviously highlighted it at the very exec senior level as well, I think now we need to start flowing out that information so everybody understands that information is accessible, yeah, and obviously what they can do with that information going forward.
So all this sustainability approach and thinking about supply chain involving them, is it a bit box ticky? Is it really all just about money, and at the end of the day this is all nice to have, but it's about the price?
At the end of the day, procurement is all about saving money. But I think procurement going forward, and it definitely within ISS at the moment, ISS is a service organisation. Money is always going to be important. But I think what is equally now important is looking at other aspects outside of just obviously what the value of the product we're buying or the service we're taking. It's really important to have a true partnership with our main suppliers, and obviously working in collaboration with them, interfacing, making sure we're benefiting from all the CR initiatives. It's important that procurement doesn't just focus on the money. Obviously ISS is a service organisation at the end of the day, and it's really important that we have a true partnership with a lot of our suppliers. Money and spend is always going to be up there as a key priority, but however, looking at environmental aspects, looking at the service side is now equally playing an important part.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.